that as black people, we're just not pulling together. We're not thinking big enough. And one of my main complaints is that these Uncle Toms now that we have as these ministers, why couldn't the ministers and these big churches get together and have like a credit union for every 3 or 4 churches? And then there you got an economic base. You got people that you can borrow from. There will be jobs, and you have a source of borrowing money at a low interest rate. Plus, preparing young people to work in these credit unions, which can later turn into banks. We don't seem to have a long-term strategy. That's my problem.
All right. Well, we take your answer right now. Thank you.
Okay. Brother Robert does bring up a couple of good points. I try not to denigrate the ministers, calling them Uncle Toms. I don't think it's very helpful. I do try my best to identify those ministers who are doing the right thing. And there are some churches that have created credit unions, and we should appreciate them, identify, salute them, and hopefully add more clout to them. There are some of the ministers have very strong education in economics as well as community-based leadership, and we're going to support them. But if 80,000 black churches exist in the United States, and they are taking a significant proportion of our disposable income, and it's not nearly as much as people think it is, a very small proportion, which is why I'm focusing on things like grocery stores, then we can have better programs. As Gunnar Myrdal identified in the book from 1944, An American Dilemma, The Negro Problem and Modern Democracy, the overwhelming majority of black preachers are very poorly educated. Comes back to literacy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because about a year or so ago, I went on a trip with some young folks we did South Carolina, we did Georgia, and in Savannah, Georgia. And down there is the first black church established in North America, and it was the first African church. I think it was the first African church. I think that's what the name of it is. And down in the church, there's a lot of things, and I mentioned this before on the air, but down in the basement of the church, they had a credit union. And that church was founded in 1775. So our people had credit unions back then. So, we lost a certain consciousness. I don't know if we can directly just put it on the church, because the folks will come up out of the church doing a lot of things at that particular time. Even more so than we are doing today, collectively speaking, with all this knowledge. So I think that's something to consider. People,
in our history, Brother Kava, I've identified, and I think you've seen my study on the corruption of the modern black church. In our history, we had 14 critical community functions that moved through that institution known as the black church. Used to be the center of our missions within a nation. And much of that has been displaced, as we've seen in recent decades, the corporatization of black religion in America.
202-588-0893. That's 202-588-0893. You can speak to Brother Keeley right here on WPFW. You can also tweet me. I'm been very negligent with that at African Deep 360. That's African Deep 360.